on some hyssop, something that they used to clean, and put it to his mouth.
Yes, sir. Yes.
He had to suffer some sour incidents. Because somebody was going to want to say, well, Jesus didn't go through what I went through. But Hebrews 4:15 says, for we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmity. Look what it said. It said, but in all points,
he was
tempted like we are, but yet sin not. Jesus said that when you come to me, you won't be able to use the excuse, well, Jesus, I can't talk to you about this because you didn't have to deal with it. You didn't have to deal with a nice looking woman coming saying, oh, I want to lay with you. But Jesus said in all points, he dealt with it. So we don't see the record of it, but he said in all points. So most likely Jesus told her, I can't be bothered with you. He says in all points, somebody came to Jesus with some illegal actions.
Yes, sir.
And Jesus said, that's not about my Father's business. Said in all points. Somebody said, well, he dealt with some sickness. Well, he was on the cross and deal with them whipping him and putting nails in his hand. But yet he sinned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He had to deal with some sour incidents.
Yes.
Secondly, he shows us in verse 30, when doing it all, that he had been satisfied. Because he says this, it is finished. Help me, Lord, have mercy. It is finished. With this quote, I want you to see four things. First of all, it was not a victim's sigh.
All right.
It wasn't like, it's finished.
No.
Because see, that's how some of our mentality is. We thinking that Jesus was on the cross and he was, it's finished.
No.
That's a victim, and he's sighing, saying, Lord, I'm glad this is over. It wasn't a victim's sigh. Secondly, I want you to see it was a vital speech.
All right.
It was so vital that he had to let the atmosphere know it's finished. I want to put a paper clip right there. Because there's some situation that's going on in your life. You don't even realize that God had already empowered you, Olivia, to tell that situation. Guess what? It's finished. You're not getting the best of me anymore. It's finished.
Yes, sir.
It was a vital speech. It's not a victim's sigh. It was a vital speech. But it was also, thirdly, a volunteer's sign.
All right.
Because guess what? Jesus willingly laid down on the cross. When I think about the old preacher that said he went to Abraham, and Abraham said, well, you know, I told them that my wife was my sister. I don't think I'd be a good candidate to go down and redeem man back unto you, God. Went to Elijah. Elijah probably said, I don't want to experience death. And what you tell me I'm going to have to do, I'm not a good candidate. And then so Jesus volunteered. And said, Daddy, if you prepare me a body, take me down from being grown and put me into a seed. Let me come down through 42 generations. He said, I'll go down and redeem man back unto you. So it wasn't a victim's sigh. It was a vital speech. It was a volunteer's sign. So you got volunteers, firemen. And when they go in and somebody says, there's somebody left in the building, he volunteers his life. Help me, Holy Ghost. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. I got to get her out of there. You ever seen the movies? And they walk out and they got the baby covered up. And the volunteer just give the sign that everything is all right. Help me, Jesus. Y'all don't even hear that Jesus right today is giving you the sign that, look, it's all right, Chris. He says, it's finished. You don't even understand this, Clay, that he said, I'm giving you the sign. I got you in my hand. I got you near my chest. I'm caring for you. It's finished. I'm giving you the sign that everything is all right. It wasn't a victim's sign. Come to Jesus. But it was a vital speech. It was a volunteer's sign. But lastly, it was a victor's shout. When you in a battle, Felicia, I wish somebody helped me on that. got the enemy backed up on the ropes. It seems like you get some confidence. You start bouncing when you was caught. You don't even feel the cut that's under your eye. You got your hand, you ready to do this. And your trainer said, just hold back, but they on the rope. And I can hear Jesus saying to the enemy, it's finished. You step up to me one more time. I'm going to give you the knockout punch. You step up to me one more time. I'm going to take you down. Shout. Jesus was on this cross. And some people put it like Jesus was whispering. But I don't see somebody that's a conqueror whispering to his defeated enemy. I see him saying, it's finished, devil. Help me, Jesus. He had to deal with some sour incidents. But he shows us that he was satisfied with his word. The third thing I want you to see, we're still in verse 30. We already seen that he said, receive the vinegar. We see he said, it is finished. But look what he does next. Now, I don't know if y'all will understand this, but I'm going to try my best to philippize the way you can understand it. The third thing I see is that Jesus gives out a signal. He bowed his head. We talking about the one that is the lifter up of our head. He bowed his head. We're talking about the one that said, lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge me and I will direct your path. He bowed his head. We're talking about the one that sat next to the Almighty God. He bowed his head. The same man that the woman with the issue of blood reached out and touched the hem of his garment. He bowed his head. When the man at the pool of Bethesda had been sitting there with a bowed down head for 38 years, Jesus told him to get up. He bowed his head. And I said, Lord, what you wanted me to see? What about this bowed his head? Can I tell y'all the example? You may get it, you may not get it till you get home. But he said, son, whenever you're doing a funeral, even when somebody dies in your home, they can't come and get the body unless you call them. If a person dies in the home and you don't ever call somebody and tell them that they're dead, the coroner ain't going to come pick them up. But let me jump back to the church service. I don't want to scare nobody. Watch this. He said that when you're preaching, the morticians are standing at the back door. And they don't come and grab this body until the pastor gives the signal. When they say morticians, you can come. Jesus, I'm trying to say come. All the time while Jesus was living, the mortician was all around his church service. King wanted to kill him when he was a little bitty baby. But Jesus hadn't given the sign to say that you can take me. They tried to get to him, but Jesus disappeared and they didn't know where Jesus was. But this time when Jesus was on the cross, he bowed his head. And the devil's mortician said, we can get him now. We tried to get him in Gethsemane, but we couldn't get him. We tried to get him on the boat with the stormy weather, but we couldn't get him. We tried to get him when they were throwing stones at him. He said, but right now, he has given us the signal. And I can see the devil's mortician walking up to the cross. Boy, we've been waiting for you a long time. And they grabbed the body of Jesus because they wanted to get to him but couldn't. But he gave the signal. The last thing I want you to see is that not only he had to deal with some sour incidents, or did he show us that he was satisfied in his work, or did he give devil's mortician a signal that said you can come now. But the last thing he did, he sent his spirit to his Father. And if I wanted to preach just that last part where he said, Father, into thy hand I commend my spirit, I will entitle it a direct deposit. I don't want nobody else to touch it. I don't want nobody else to handle it. He said, Father, into thy hand I commend my spirit. So now death is smiling. The grave is happy.
Yes, sir.
Because there was a man by the name of Joseph that said, I got a new tomb. And he said this to me, I'm going to let Jesus borrow you for 3 days.
Yes, sir.
I know, let Jesus go on a 3-day and 3-night cruise.
Yes, sir.
And while he was on his cruise, he freed some folk that were down in hell.
Yeah.
But I can see that death was happy.
All right.
I got it. I'm holding on to it.
Yeah.
Now I'm coming and bringing to you, grave.
All right.
You done held a bunch of them down. I need you to put your locks on it.
Yeah.
Just hold him. If you just hold him for 4 days, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Because that means all the stuff that he said will be a lie.
Yeah.
Help me, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Jesus did it all.
Yeah.
He started out when he says to his father, let me go down. He get down here after 42 generations. We see first thing that I think about what Jesus done, he saved that which was lost. And you see that in Luke 19 and 10.
Yeah.
Because there was a little man that ran up a tree
All right, Pastor.
saying, I got to see Jesus.
Come on, man. Yes, sir.
And he said, I'm going to get in this spot.
Yes,
Because I know Jesus must pass this way. I wish somebody would help me on this evening. That sometimes I'm sitting at the second bench at the church because I know Jesus is going to pass this way. Mr. Rose going to begin to shout. Miss Iola going to begin to scream. And while Jesus is saying about them, I'm just going to sit next to him because I know Jesus got to pass. Not only did Jesus save that which was lost, but my Bible tells me that he healed the sick. There was people that was blind. He spit down on the ground, made some clay, and put it on his eyes and told him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. Woman with the issue of blood touched the hem of his garment. The Bible tells me that he healed the sick. Not only did he save or did he heal, but he raised the dead. He went to Lazarus' grave and said, Father, I'm praying to you because you always heard my cry. But I'm praying to you today because the people that's standing around need to know that you are the true and holy God. And he said, Lazarus, come forth. Somebody got to understand that even though earth wrapped you in some sorrow, and they wrapped you in some trouble, they wrapped you in some tribulations, but when Jesus calls your name, you got to jump. You got to say something. You got to let the world know I'm no longer down because Jesus called mine. But not only did he raise the dead, my Jesus, he hung up on the cross. Matthew 15 and 30. They said, come down from the cross. They let me know that he hung not for himself, but for you and I. The nails wasn't the thing that held him to the cross. It was his love, his long suffering, his pain.